Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Jaya Gauranita Jaya Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की आंछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. आनंद कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय. हरे कृष्ण. Right? Starting from 18? Yes. 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the 8th chapter, 8th canto, 7th chapter. We'll be reading the translations of verses 18 through 35, but we'll be chanting the verse 22 together. Okay, that's our class plan for today. So 18 to 35. So I'll just read the translations. We can all read them together, and then we'll read them. We won't get in the purports of all these verses. Actually, all these verses have some nuances inside, but we are doing a little bit of a speed run through the Bhagavatam here, so therefore we won't get into it. So translation, we can read that together. The fish, sharks, tortoises and snakes were most agitated and perturbed. The entire ocean became turbulent, and even the large aquatic animals like whales, water elephants, crocodiles and Demigods fish, large whales that can swallow small whales, came to the surface. While the ocean was being churned in this way, it first produced a fiercely dangerous poison called Halahal. O king, when that uncontrollable poison was forcefully spreading up and down in all directions, all the demigods, along with the Lord himself, approached Lord Shiva, Sadashiva. Feeling unsheltered and very much afraid, they sought shelter of him. The demigods observed Lord Shiva sitting on the summit of Kailas hill with his wife Bhavani for the auspicious development of the three worlds. He was being worshipped by great saintly persons desiring liberation. The demigods offered him their obeisances and prayers with great respect. The Prajapatis said, O greatest of all demigods, Mahadev, Supersoul of all living entities and cause of their happiness and prosperity, we have come to the shelter of your lotus feet. Now please save us from this fiery poison which is spreading all over the three worlds. O Lord, you are the cause of bondage and liberation in the entire universe because you are its ruler. Those who are advanced in spiritual consciousness surrender unto you, and therefore you are the cause of mitigating their distresses, and you are also the cause of their liberation. We therefore worship your Lordship. O Lord, you are self-effulgent and supreme. You create this material world by your personal energy, and you assume the names Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar when you act in creation, maintenance and annihilation. You are the cause of all causes, the self-effulgent, inconceivable, impersonal Brahman, which is originally Para-Brahman. You manifest various potencies in this cosmic manifestation. O Lord, you are the original source of Vedic literature. You are the original cause of material creation, the life force, the senses, the five elements, the three modes, and the Mahat Tattva. You are eternal time, determination, and the two religious systems called truth, Satya, and truthfulness, Vrita. You are the shelter of the syllable Om, which consists of the three letters A, O, Om, M. O Father of all planets, learned scholars know that fire is your mouth, the surface of the globe is your lotus feet, eternal time is your movement, all the directions are your ears, and Varuna, master of the waters, is your tongue. O Lord, the sky is your navel, the air is your breathing, the sun is your eyes, and the water is your semen. You are the shelter of all kinds of living entities, high and low. The god of the moon is your mind, and the upper planetary system is your head. O Lord, you are the three Vedas personified, the seven seas are your abdomen, and the mountains are your bones. All drugs, creepers, and vegetables are the hairs on your body. The Vedic mantras like Gayatri are the seven layers of your body, and the Vedic religious system is the core of your heart. O Lord, the five important Vedic mantras are represented by your five faces, or from which the 38 most celebrated Vedic mantras have been generated. Your Lordship, being celebrated as Lord Shiva, is self-illuminated. You are directly situated as the supreme truth known as Paramatma. O Lord, your shadow is seen in irreligion, which brings about varieties of irreligious creations. The three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are your three eyes. All the Vedic literatures, which are full of verses, are emanations from you because their compilers wrote the various scriptures after receiving your glance. O Lord Girisha, since the impersonal Brahman effulgence is the transcendental to the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, the various directors of this material world certainly cannot appreciate it or even know where it is. It is not understandable even to Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, or the King of Heaven, Mahendra. When annihilation is performed by the flames and sparks emanating from your eyes, the entire creation is burnt to ashes. Nonetheless, you do not know how this happens. What then is to be said of your destroying the Daksha Yajna, Tripura Asura, and the Kala Kuta poison? Such activities cannot be subject matters for prayers offered to you. Exalted, self-satisfied persons who preach to the entire world think of your lotus feet constantly within their hearts. However, when persons who do not know your austerity see you moving with Uma, they misunderstand you to be lusty. Or when they see you wandering in the crematorium, they mistakenly think that you are ferocious and envious. Certainly they are shameless. They cannot understand your activities. Even personalities like Lord Brahma and other demigods cannot understand your position, for you are beyond the moving and non-moving creation. Since no one can understand you in truth, how can one offer you prayers? It is impossible. As far as we are concerned, we are creatures of Lord Brahma's creation. Under the circumstances, therefore, we cannot offer you adequate prayers. But as far as our ability allows, we have expressed our feelings. And the last one for today. O greatest of all rulers, your actual identity is impossible for us to understand. As far as we can see, your presence brings flourishing happiness to everyone. Beyond this, no one can appreciate your activities. We can see this much and nothing more. Okay, we'll go back to 22. And that's the verse we'll chant together and read the purport also. Tvameka sarva jagata Ishvaro bandha mokshayo Tam tvam archanti kushalah Prapannarti haram gurum.
Tvameka Sarva Jagata.
Swameka Sarva Jagata. Ishvaro Bandha Mokshayo.
Tam Tvam Archanti Kushala.
Tam Tvam Archanti Kushala. Prapannati Haram Gurum. Tvameka Sarva Jagata. Ishvaro Bandha Mokshayo. Tam Tvam Archanti Kushala. Prapannati Haram Gurum.
Tam Ekah Sarva Jagata.
Tvameka Sarva Jagata.
Ishvaro Bandha Mokshayo.
Ishvaro Bandha Mokshayo.
Archanti Kushala.
Tam Tvam Archanti Kushala.
Prapannati Haram Gurum.
Prapannati Haram Gurum. Tvameka Sarva Jagata.
Ishvaro Bandha Mokshayo.
Ishvaro Bandha Mokshayo. Tam Tvam Archanti Kushala. Prapannati Haram Gurum.
Tvam Ekam Sarva Jagata.
Tvameka Sarva Jagata.
Ishvaro Bandha Mokshaya.
Ishvaro Bandha Mokshayo. Tam Tvam Archanti Kushala.
Prapannati Haram Gurum.
Prapannati Haram Gurum.
Tvam Eka Sarva Jagata.
Tvameka Sarva Jagata.
Ishvaro Bandha Mokshayo.
Ishvaro Bandha Mokshayo.
Tam Tvam
Archanti Kushala. Prapannati Haram Gurum. Tvameka. Your Lordship is indeed Sarva Jagataha. Of the three worlds. Ishvaraha. The controller. Bandha Mokshayo. Of both bondage and liberation. Tam. That controller. Tvam Archanti. Worship you. Kushala. Persons who want good fortune. Prapanna Arti Haram. Who can mitigate all the distresses of a sheltered devotee. Gurum. You who act as a good advisor to all fallen souls. Let's also read the translation together. O Lord, you are the cause of bondage and liberation of the entire universe because you are its ruler. Those who are advanced in spiritual consciousness surrender unto you, and therefore you are the cause of mitigating their distresses, and you are also the cause of their liberation. We therefore worship your Lordship. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Actually, Lord Vishnu maintains and accomplishes all good fortune. If one has to take shelter of Lord Vishnu, why should the demigods take shelter of Lord Shiva? They did so because Lord Vishnu acts through Lord Shiva in the creation of the material world. Lord Shiva acts on behalf of Lord Vishnu when the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 14:4 that he is the father of all living entities. Aham bija pradapita. This refers to actions performed by Lord Vishnu through Lord Shiva. Lord Vishnu is always unattached to material activities. And when material activities are to be performed, Lord Vishnu performs them through Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is therefore worshipped on the level of Lord Vishnu. When Lord Vishnu is untouched by the external energy, he is Lord Vishnu. But when he is in touch with the external energy, he appears in his feature as Lord Shiva. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutabadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhan Mitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenamando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Tomeka Sarva Jagata Ishvaro Bandha Mokshayo Tam Tvam Archanti Kushala Prapanarti Haram Gurum. O Lord, you are the cause of bondage and liberation of the entire universe because you are its ruler. Those who are advanced in spiritual consciousness surrender unto you, and therefore you are the cause of mitigating their distresses. And you are also the cause of their liberation. We therefore worship your Lordship. Begging for your blessings. Many of my spiritual masters are here, especially Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Dharmaprana Prabhu, Dakshin Prabhu, and thank you very much, Prabhu. Okay, this section of the Bhagavatam can get confusing because the demigods are worshipping Lord Shiva in the presence of Lord Vishnu. In general, it's advised that in the presence of Lord Vishnu, we don't worship anybody else. But in this particular case, there's a specific reason behind it. Okay? So, in order to understand this better, let us start off by understanding who is that Lord Shiva who is being worshipped here, first and foremost. Srila Prabhupada mentions it in the purport, it's Sadashiva. So, Sadashiva is mentioned in the Brahma Samhita. So, first of all, he is mentioned as Kshiram Yatha Dadivikara Vishesha Yogat Sanjayate Nahi Tata Prathagasti Heto Yah Shambhutam Tatha Samupaiti Karyat Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So he is mentioned as Kshiram Yatha Dadi. It's a very beautiful analogy. It mentions, Srila Prabhupada mentions that many times in his lectures, how the milk can turn into yogurt, but you can never turn yogurt back into milk, right? You can do some acidic treatment to milk and it can turn into yogurt, but yogurt cannot turn back into milk. And Srila Prabhupada mentions another thing, and the first time I heard it from His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, who said, somebody asked him a question, what about Lord Shiva? And he says, what about Lord Shiva? So, what is the difference between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu? They asked the person who was asking the question. And Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj answered simply and said, Vishnu in touch with the material energy is Lord Shiva. And that seemed very interesting, and I didn't find a reference until I read this particular purport many years ago. And Srila Prabhupada is saying, when Lord Vishnu is untouched by the external energy, he is Lord Vishnu. But when he is in touch with the external energy, he appears in his feature as Lord Shiva. So in the same Brahma Samhita, it is mentioned, Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chaye Vayasya Bhuvanani Bibharti Durga Ichhanurupam Apiyasya Chacheshtate Sa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The relevant part is Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Bibharti Durga. That means Durga, the material creation, material energy, remains as if a shadow to Lord Vishnu. So why is that so? A shadow doesn't actually touch us, isn't it? You cannot touch, you cannot grab, you cannot feel a shadow, but you can see it. Everybody has a shadow the moment you look on the other side. So in relation with Lord Vishnu, the material energy is like a shadow. So she is exactly a shadow, but she does not touch him, right? But there is a certain point where a shadow touches our body, isn't it? When you're walking in the evening or early in the morning, you can see your shadow touching a particular point of your body, your feet, right? Exactly where your feet end, the shadow starts, isn't it? Right? So there's a touch there. So that is one example of how that analogy is beautiful, because there is a touching point between the shadow and the reality, right? So in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says we should never go back away from the Bhagavad Gita. By the way, every single scripture has its roots in the Bhagavad Gita. So if we can connect every single thing that we read back to the Bhagavad Gita, then we can actually assimilate and absorb all of these instructions. Otherwise, they appear like all these random instructions going all over the place unless we connect it back to the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So in this, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned Aham Bija Pradapita. So Krishna says that I am the seed-giving father of all the living entities. But and sometimes when we talk to others about it, he says, "Well, I'm not son of Krishna." This is, I have a father, right? And it's not Krishna, right? And and then we start explaining, how it works and all of that stuff. But in general, I will take you back to the origin story from the Vedic literature, mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam as well, right? So this is so Krishna is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Chatushloki Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a verse that starts. There are 4 verses which actually comprise of the seed of the Bhagavatam, similar to the 4 verses in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which comprise of the seed of the Bhagavad Gita. So in general, you can meditate on those 4 verses and realize the purports of the rest of the scripture. Just 4 verses, okay? It starts with Aham, Evasam, Evagre. It starts with these. There are 4 verses. I won't chant all the verses here. But Aham, Evasam, Evagre means I was existing before everybody else. And then Srila Prabhupada has written an amazing purport. Everybody should go and read that. It's in 1-2-18, something like that. I don't remember the exact verse number off the top of my head right now, but it's the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada also mentions in many of his classes, right? He says in the Vedic scriptures there are verses like Eko Narayana Asit. First of all, there was Narayan, and then Krishna says in many different places, he says Bahusyama, which means I shall be many. In other words, everything that exists and everyone who exists is a part and parcel of Krishna, but outside of the realm of time. So always emanating ourselves. It's not like we were created on one day. So what happens is when Krishna decides to expand, and Krishna expands himself as the first expansion of himself, who is Lord Balram. Lord Balram then expands himself. It's a little technical, but I think it's worth saying here. 4 expansions. So they are called the first Chaturvyu expansions: Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vasudev. So from the first Sankarshan comes the second set of Chaturvyu expansion: Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vasudev. Same names, different personalities. Okay? From the second Sankarshan comes the personality known as Mahavishnu, who is mentioned again in the Brahma Samhita. The verse starts with Yah Karanarnava Jale Bhajati Sma Yoga Nidram. So this is he's known as the Karana, the person who lies on the Karana ocean. Karana means the causal ocean. I mean, when you look at the depth of this understanding, there is a particular ocean which emanates from the Lord, which is called the causal ocean. This is the ocean of the cause of all causes, right? So this is the ocean in which Lord Mahavishnu lies, and he's in Yoga Nidra. And in Yoga Nidra, he is, it's a kind of a dream, but not a dream. A dream is like a different kind of consciousness, whereas he's in a super conscious state, right? So he is dreaming, and as he dreams of the creation in his Yoga Nidra. And as he dreams of his creation, so therefore, in many analogies say that this world is temporary. It's, many people use that language, temporary, therefore it's illusory and so on and so forth. So he dreams that dream in which there is a creation of the material realm. So from from the material realm, then he opens his eyes and looks at the Mahat Tattva or the material energy, who is inert without his glance. His glance then impregnates all the souls who have been lying in suspended animation inside of his transcendental body back into the material creation. This cycle continues ad infinitum, continues again and again. And that glance of Mahavishnu is Shambhu. Okay? So therefore, when you go into a temple of Lord Shiva and you see this symbol that looks like a ray, it looks like a ray in the womb of material nature. That is what it means, is the glance of Mahavishnu is the agency by which all of us have been impregnated into the material world. So therefore, since the glance of Mahavishnu can be said to be different from him and non-different from him. Again, the Achintya, Bheda, Abheda comes right here. He's different. The glance is not the person, right? I'm looking at someone or something. My glance is not me, but my glance is also me at the same time, right? So when I look at it, then I gather some knowledge, and you can understand it in this way. So this glance of Mahavishnu is Shambhu, Sadashiva. So in this particular verse, long story, this particular verse, the demigods have approached Sadashiva, who is actually a direct expansion of Lord Mahavishnu. So from Mahavishnu comes Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu comes Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and so Kshirodakshaya Vishnu comes Paramatma. So if you look at all the translations that we read today, you think about it as, Sadashiva is a earlier expansion, practically speaking, than Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu and so on and so forth. And therefore, Paramatma is said to be an expansion of Lord Sadashiva. Now, there is another Shiva who's also an expansion of Sadashiva. It gets a little technical there. I won't go into that whole thing right now, but he's known as Rudra. He's born inside the material universe from the forehead of Lord Brahma. When Brahma got angry and when the Kumaras did not obey his instruction to procreate and they became brahmacharis, and Brahma was upset that these boys haven't followed his instructions, and from his anger came Rudra, and that personality is different. He's a reddish complexioned personality who Rudra, who was crying when he came out, because he came out of anger, and the cycle of how Krishna mentions, that's actually true in the transcendental sense also. After you get angry, you cry. That's what you do. Like when someone starts crying, you should understand that before that they have been angry, right? And then their anger results in tears afterwards. Okay, so this we are not talking about Rudra in this particular verse. They are talking about Lord Sadashiva, right? So therefore, he is transcendental. In our tradition, in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, we have Sadashiva also in our Sampradaya, and his name is Advaita Acharya. Yes. So Advaita Acharya is a combined incarnation of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. He appears in our disciplic succession. So if you read the purports very carefully, you will see that whatever is being prayed to Lord Sadashiva is actually applicable also to Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya brought the Sankirtan movement into the world. Right? But he has the power. I can't invite the Supreme Personality of Godhead to come and start something here, but Advaita Acharya was able to, with the force of his love, invite the Lord to come. So in this way we can understand that Lord Sadashiva is the glance of Mahavishnu, and therefore he is very highly respectable personality. So the bottom line here that we have to understand is Lord Vishnu does not ever actually touch the material nature. He is completely transcendental. So, and this is also the explanation. Krishna himself being transcendental is the explanation for people who think that his pastimes, for example, are somehow mundane interactions. Srila Prabhupada gives the example, Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj is an example right here. In order to attain transcendence, he took sannyas. What does sannyas mean? Sannyas means giving up all material association, right? He does not have any material association, does not have any material attachments. He gave it up. So, in order to attain the supreme transcendence, a person is giving up everything. And how is it that the person who has all of the transcendence associates again with the material? It's not possible. So actually Lord Vishnu does not associate with the material nature in any circumstances. Therefore, Lord Sadashiva is an important aspect of the whole chain of how the Lord acts. In fact, we can see that this is true also in the mundane sense. Like a powerful person does not act directly, right? If the Prime Minister of Canada calls you, it's not the Prime Minister of Canada calling you. It's a secretary of a secretary of a secretary who's going to call you and say that you have been invited, or they might use the word summoned, depending on what your situation is, to come and meet such and such a personality, right? So even powerful people, like if you our leaders within ISKCON, for example, they have secretaries, they have assistants, different people do. Maharaj is not typing his blog out personally, right? He's not doing these kinds of things. So in fact, Lord Vishnu is not shy for his subordinates to be glorified. In fact, that's the reason why we glorify the pure spiritual master in front of Lord Vishnu. Because Lord Shiva is in the same category. He's a spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada is in the same category of being a spiritual master. And therefore, there is no offense or no harm in worshipping Srila Prabhupada in front of Krishna. Right? Otherwise, we don't worship any other person. We're not supposed to praise anybody. We're not supposed to glorify anybody in front of Lord Vishnu unless it's our spiritual master. Okay? So, and this is the fundamental, you have heard the phrase, give credit where credit is due, right? So that phrase, actually Krishna exemplifies that. Give credit where credit. Lord Shiva is the father of this spiritual world, of the material world, and therefore actually without Lord Shiva's mercy, nobody can approach Krishna. Without the mercy of Lord Shiva, and anybody who is actually pursuing Krishna consciousness, you have to understand that they have received the mercy of Lord Shiva or one of his associates, which is why they can pursue Krishna consciousness. So it's not, Lord Shiva is not to be criticized as the demigods are saying, not to be criticized as being lusty, not to be criticized as being somehow antisocial, walking around with ashes from the cremation ground and with matted locks and skulls around his neck and so on. Not to be criticized. It's completely transcendental personality. Okay, so so I will pause there. I'll stop there, and I will see if there are questions, comments, or reflections. We have a few. So
thank you very much, Master. Very interesting.
Thank you, Anubhav Prabhu.
I'm wondering, when it is mentioned that Lord Shiva is touching the material energy, what does it mean? Does it mean that he is under the influence of the illusion, or?
No, 100% no. He is the master of the illusory energy. So, in fact, the only energy that can bewilder Lord Shiva is the spiritual energy. So Lord Shiva is the husband of Maya. He's not a subordinate. He's in touch in the sense that he's having interactions with Maya. He's having interactions. He's having dealings with her. He's after all her husband. But it is not to be understood that he's in charge of the mode of ignorance, but he is not in the mode of ignorance. He's completely transcendental. Lord Shiva, even Rudra, completely transcendental. So our understanding is that Lord Shiva is in touch with the material energy, but is not influenced by it, and acts in certain ways. Again, just as the master is acting to glorify the servant, similarly the servant is always acting to glorify the master. So therefore, when there are, like the Srila Prabhupada mentions in one of the purports of the Bhagavad Gita, that Lord Parvati Devi agitated Lord Shiva through sex attraction, and therefore Kartikeya was born. He mentions in one of the purports. But that is just actually to glorify Krishna more. It's not that he was under the spell of the illusory energy, but Kartikeya is a necessary personality in the material world. So he did that for that purpose. But yes, it's not to be understood that he is under the influence. He's to be understood as being the controller of the material energy. So together the husband and wife team are like a good cop, bad cop. So the Durga Devi, she is very, very strict. She has 12 hands and weapons in every hand, and she's poking us in every possible way. And Lord Shiva is like, there, go there. This is the escape route. Okay, so in this way, because he's the spiritual master of the material world, he serves to take us out of it as our spiritual master. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much for your class. I have 3 small questions. The first question is, when we read that Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava, which Shiva is being referred to? Is it Sadashiva or one of the other Shivas in that Shiva?
Both. Because all the Rudras, it's indirect because he was born through Lord Brahma, but all the Rudras are also expansions of Sadashiva. So it's not that, often the words are used interchangeably, but sometimes the context is important. Which Shiva are we referring to? Rudra or Lord Sadashiva? Because Rudra is not worshipped as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is worshipped as the master of the material world. But Sadashiva, being outside of this particular material world, you think about Lord Sadashiva's existence is at the same plane of existence as Mahavishnu. Because he's Mahavishnu's glance. And it's not that Mahavishnu is blinking and Vishnu never blinks. So it doesn't have to. So it's not that his glance ends. So therefore Lord Sadashiva is eternal, whereas Lord Rudra actually dissolves himself when the universe is dissolved. Just like Lord Brahma dies. Similarly, Lord Shiva, even though he doesn't die, he's kind of absorbed back into the Sadashiva energy. And there is the tantras are very detailed about that, and you can get really lost in the details, but I won't go into that particular aspect. Okay? We'll take another one and come back to you.
So this was all from that lecture. I have a question there are so many temples in India like Hari-Hara temple, Hari-Hara temple.
Yes.
So is it connected with
Yes, it's connected with these pastimes. Sometimes Lord Vishnu enters into the mood of Lord Shiva. There's very interesting things that happen like this. Anything that you can imagine is only possible because the Lord has manifested it. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that you have seen gold, you have seen a mountain. You might dream of a golden mountain. But there is a golden mountain in the universe. In the Trikuta. So, in other words, all of these things are not, some of them can be concoctions, but especially the very old traditional temples, they are not concoctions. You have to get the proper understanding, which is why we have to go with our acharyas and not necessarily, because the persons who are serving there could be materialistic and they might not be able to explain what is actually going on there clearly. So, therefore, when we go to these places of pilgrimage, we'll be careful to go with people who can actually help us understand the true meaning of what is going on there. Like outside of Jagannath Puri, there is a Hari-Hara temple. There are many. There is in South India where I studied. There's a town called Hari-Hara, where there's the deity is Hari-Hareshwara. But depending on who you ask, you get different understandings. So you have to be careful to ask a person in the bona fide Vaishnava Sampradaya to get the details. After that.
Yes, Prabhu, Sadashiva doesn't come in the material world. So
No.
where does the boundary start? Where is spiritual world and where is the border of spiritual world and material world?
Now you can see that from many different levels. So one of them is called the Viraja River. There's a river that separates the material existence from the spiritual realm. The Viraja River is a very dangerous kind of river. If you cross this Viraja River, you enter into the spiritual realm. Okay? So in general, Lord Sadashiva, that's one understanding. Another understanding is that the material world starts at the point of the Mahat Tattva. The composite, if you think about, what the scientists call the singularity, if you think about all the elements, all the energies, all the constituents of the universal arrangement as we see, if you can imagine, and you don't have to imagine, it's called Mahat Tattva, but it's hard to comprehend that, right? It's the ingredient of creation. It's if you take the material elements, the Bhumi, Rapa, Nalo, Vayu, Khammayo, Buddhirevacha, it's the composite of all of that in one. And that is the start of the material creation. From there comes so inside that Mahat Tattva cloud, the material cloud, Srila Prabhupada calls it, are all the universes. Right? But it gets very tricky because inside that there is a, inside every universe there is a ocean of milk, there is a Shweta Dweep, there is a, the Shishumar planet. Like these are all transcendental. They are not part of the material world. They are inside the material world, but they are not part of the material world. So we are advised to think of the material and the spiritual realm not separated geographically necessarily, but through consciousness. Right? So a pure devotee, when they go up into the temple, they will have the experience of visiting 3 dhams. They are in Navadvip Dham, then they go to Vrindavan Dham, then they go to Jagannath Puri Dham, right? And then they go to wherever Srila Prabhupada is. Maybe he's in Los Angeles right now. I don't know. Right? You know what I mean? So it's very like it will be revealed to us. Don't have to worry too much. But you understand the boundary?
Yes.
Different ways of looking at it.
Based on consciousness.
Mainly consciousness, but there are different ways of explaining that.
And
Yes. No, sorry. So you had another question?
Yes.
We'll come back to you. Is it related?
Yes. Since Vishnu doesn't come in the material world, but Ram, Nrsimha, and Krishna is direct kind of,
So who says there is no material world?
Then,
Who came for Gajendra?
yes, then he is touched by material world in that case.
No, he's not. That's the thing. He never touches the material realm. Whenever he interacts, like for example, Radha Krichur Gopinath's pastime with Madhavendra Puri, right? He stole a pot of kheer. Was the pot of kheer a part of the material realm? Wasn't it prasad? So he never touches the material realm. And he only interacts with pure devotees. Has he interacted with anybody who is not a pure devotee? So he doesn't come in the material world. He's always spiritual. His interactions with pure devotees are always spiritual.
Anger is a sign of more of passion in material world, and Krishna gets angry. Nrsimha Deva is good.
Yeah. It's not that kind of anger. It's not that kind of anger. It's fully transcendental. Prabhu. And then we have some from this side after this.
One question might be done, Prabhu, but like Prabhu was saying, like you said, Lord Vishnu never touches material world and he comes through Lord Shiva. So as practicing devotional service, there are a lot of material desires and material problems. So if we see like Vishnu is not dealing with material things, then who's going to...
Your spiritual master is sitting right here. He's right here. Not even 10 feet away. You don't worry, just stay there and it'll all be clear. Don't worry. There's a way to express everything spiritually. And when we stay in the association of our spiritual masters and our advanced devotees, then we can understand at what point something becomes material, for example. It's a fine line. Right? Maharaj.
I just wanted to say this idea of the Lord coming in contact with the material world. It may appear like that, but the example is given in the 10th canto of a rainbow.
Yes. That's
It's bent like this, like a bow, and it appears that it's strapped
Touching.
together,
Yeah.
by,
Earth.
So it appears that way when you go to either end of a rainbow, it never really makes
Touches.
contact. So it's a nice example. And the
Oh, that's a
rainbow is
beautiful
one of the
analogy.
most beautiful manifestations of this physical world.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So the Lord beautifully comes here, and it looks like he's bound, by what he called that strap,
Right.
strap, and but he's not actually.
That's a brilliant thing. Maharaj just said, because he's not mic'd up, Maharaj just said in the 10th canto there's the example of the rainbow, which appears to be touching the earth, and the earth is the strap, or the band that ties the two ends of the rainbow down. But if you actually go to that place where it appears to be coming from, you will never find a spot where the rainbow is touching the earth. And that example he has quoted from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you so much, Maharaj. That's beautiful.
Have you ever tried to find the end of a rainbow?
I have.
I have to. It doesn't work.
Yes. Anybody here?
So, Prabhu, we said that Lord Shiva is beyond the material realm and he never gets
Lord Sadashiva.
Lord Sadashiva. So Sadashiva and Shiva are
Rudra. So they are sometimes used interchangeably because one is the expansion of the other. But Rudra is the son of Lord Brahma. So he is in charge of the dissolution of an individual universe, for example, when he does his Tandava Nritya and so on. But the same thing can be said of Sadashiva, but not quite.
What's the difference?
The difference is that Lord Sadashiva is the glance of Mahavishnu. Like he's a direct glance of Lord Mahavishnu. Therefore, he is 100% transcendent. Lord Shiva, even Rudra, is transcendental, but that's the difference. That Lord Rudra appears as a son of Lord Brahma, who is the son of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Whereas Lord Sadashiva is the direct glance of Mahavishnu. There's no Lord Brahma in between. And Lord Brahma, it gets even more tricky because Lord Brahma can be a living entity. Like a jiva. You can, if you spend 100 lifetimes without committing a single sinful action, you can get the post of Lord Brahma. 100 human lifetimes is the target. But you don't have to worry about that because you've already been Lord Brahma. Because when you come from the spiritual realm, Niranjan Swami Maharaj explains in a class, Sachinandan Maharaj also explains in different classes, and Srila Prabhupada said that, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati said that, so they didn't make this stuff up, is that actually when a living entity comes from the spiritual realm and tries out the material world, the first lifetime is that of Brahma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says, Bahirmukha Brahma and Bhaktivonmukhi Brahma, two kinds of Brahmas. So, if you see the persons who are materially conditioned in the material world, you have to understand that you have been Lord Brahma once upon a time. And then you thought, maybe Indra is having more fun. And then after the lifetime of Brahma, then you went up and down and now we are stuck here.
So, Prabhu, if that
But our Brahma is not a Bahirmukha Brahma, he is a Bhaktivonmukhi Brahma. So after this lifetime, he has come straight from Vaikuntha. After this lifetime, he is going back. Right? So there are, majority of the Brahmas are like that. But the minority of the Brahmas who are foolish enough not to understand what the material world is all about, end up here. Like us.
So, Prabhu, then what happens in the Mohini avatar? That little instance when Shiva is running behind.
Yes, because that is Lord Vishnu himself. So therefore, Lord Shiva can only be bewildered by Lord's internal energy, just as Lord himself can be bewildered by his own internal energy. How is it that the Lord who is the fear of fear personified, how is it that he is afraid of Mother Yashoda? Because of his internal energy. How is it that he doesn't know what Radharani is cooking for him? Internal energy. Right? The Lord can be bewildered by his own internal energy, by his own desire. So in this particular case, Lord Shiva desired to understand, to see the Lord's illusory energy. So the Lord manifesting as Mohini Murti was such a beautiful form that Lord Shiva was bewildered, running after her all over the place. But that's not material energy, because material energy is his wife. Why he would be bewildered? He can go home. Right?
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Sarthak, and we come back to you, Prabhu. Sorry.
There is a question from live stream from Padma Mataji. She says that she asked, even though Lord Shiva is the son of Brahma, why is he considered more superior than Lord Brahma? In fact, there are not many temples of Brahma, but every Vishnu temple has a deity of Lord Shiva.
It's a fact. Well, Lord Brahma has a particular curse on him that he cannot be worshipped, and I won't go into the details of that particular thing. But Lord Brahma is our Sampradaya Acharya. He's our Acharya. So we worship Lord Brahma regularly. We chant the Brahma Samhita. Chanting the Brahma Samhita is as good as worshipping Lord Brahma, right? But when you chant someone's prayers, your spiritual master composes some poetry, you chant the poetry, you're worshipping your spiritual master, right? You're worshipping Krishna through the agency of your spiritual master also. So yes, it's a fact that Lord Shiva is actually superior to Lord Brahma from a spiritual sense, because Lord Shiva is not a living entity. Lord Brahma can be a jiva. Lord Shiva is never a jiva. Lord Shiva, in fact, Lord Shiva is so special that he has his own tattva. Everybody wants that. Right? I want my own tattva, right? But actually, we have the Jiva Tattva. Unfortunately, billions, trillions of, including that ant and the little germ, is all Jiva Tattva. So we are all no better than that germ from a spiritual level. But Lord Shiva is Shiva Tattva. Like that is, he is special. Why is it like that? I think my spiritual master said, go meet one of them and ask them. Okay, bro, back to you.
Lord Shiva is described as being Ashutosh, right? Being very.
In the purport is mentioned.
Could you speak a little bit more about what that means?
Ashutosh means easily pleased. So Lord Shiva is so deep in his internal bhajan that when people come like requesting blessings, he's like, take it and go. Don't bother me. Just get lost. What is this? What do you want? Take it. Get out. Okay. And then once he gives that kind of blessing, if it's a material blessing that he's coming for, he knows that his wife is going to clean up. Right? She's going to come after you. That material blessings come with a bunch of preconditions. Right? Everything. Somebody wants a husband or a wife, somebody wants money. It comes with some
Terms and conditions.
yeah. It's fine print. Fine print. Yeah, thank you. And but Lord Shiva is even very pleased with a person who is worshipping Krishna. And this is mentioned in one of the purports. If you read these verses, purports, they are not too many, few pages. You will see that Lord Shiva is very much pleased by a person who is worshipping Krishna. And that person is very, very blessed. There's a whole story of the Brahmana who was forced by his wife to approach Lord Shiva for a blessing. The touchstone story. And then he approached Lord Shiva, who